So, we're talking about switches today, and one of the hardest things is finding the best switch site. And you can tell that you don't have a good switch site if they can't do it by independently. So, if you are doing hand over hand because they cannot hit a switch by themselves, then you don't have the right site. So, or the seating positioning, and we'll talk about that for a second too. So, let's just talk about finding a switch site. So, what it needs to be is voluntary and repeatable. And I say this because a lot of our complex bodies with like kids with cerebral palsy and things like that, something will come in, meaning an outside noise or light or startle, and they'll do what we call kind of an ATNR. They'll turn their head to the right, their right arm will go up, their left arm will go straight, or vice versa. And it's an immature reflex that we see in infants that people with neurological impairments don't necessarily grow out of. And people will get excited like, "Oh, let's put the switch here. Let's put the switch here. Let's put the switch down here." And it's like that's not voluntary. And every time they startle, they're going to hit it. So, not only are we looking for areas that they can move their bodies, but can they do it voluntarily? And you can pick that out by observing kiddos. But I will tell you this, I, all of us tend to use hands. Hands are extremities and they don't always aren't always our best function. And so we do want our kids to learn to use their hands. But if you are using a switch site for communication, you may decide that something that's easier for access, like the head switch, could be better than a hand switch because if they have to look at their hand in order to hit a switch, then they may or may not be looking at the AAC system. The great thing about a head is the head movement is that it's the first thing to develop and the last thing to lose, depending on which end of development you are on. And so doing a head switch is something I would strongly recommend considering for kids. It also allows them to drive power chairs. And so it creates a lot of independence if they have a head switch. It allows them to look where they're going as well. And we'll talk about that too. But I've had people that have only been able to move their big toe, and that's the best head switch. That's the best switch site. And they don't have to look at their toe to make it go. So we're good to go there. So looking at elbows, looking at hands, looking at head. But we've had a lot of success with really complex bodies with head switches. Um, so we can do proximity switches or spec switches. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of switches, but in fact, I'm sorry that this has the candy corn on it because I believe that's not being sold in the US right now, and there's an alternative one at the end of this slideshow that you might want to take a look at. Spec switches are basically mechanical switches. And so proximity switches means you get close, but you don't have to depress. So some of our kids with SMA2 prior to the drug studies, they only have like a finger movement and it's too faint to depress a switch. And so doing a proximity switch hanging over is an option. And the mechanical switches, though, however, for me, have worked in about 95% of my kids. So if things are not working out well, um, it's not usually the switch. It's usually the placement. And I've had people go down the road where they get like 20 different switches and then they find out, oh, it didn't matter because once I put them in the right spot, they can do it. So and then what we want to be sure is that we connect switches to something that's motivating and matching their sensory strength. So if you know their vision isn't great, bubbles might not be your thing. The vibrating toy on the left, on the right, I guess the dog there might be a better idea where they hit it and it vibrates on their lap or vibrates near them. That might get their attention. In the beginning, when we're just teaching that the switch does something, we may be connecting that to play before we connect it to a cognitive skill. Part of it is because, and I will talk about this later, but is the cognitive load. So let me just show this video about head placement. Right now, she has the switch placed at her hand and she's driving that car. Notice she has to curl her whole body to make a fist to hit it. And when we put the switch at her head, she has to sit up. She sees where she's going. And it's a much easier skill. All we're doing right there is kind of supporting her shoulder so she doesn't get whiplash when she's driving the car. So that gives you a really good sense of what a head switch, how the head switch can create great posture and sets her up for educational and social success because she's at least sitting up and looking around. Body language, all this is the same boy, the same day. In the chair on the left is the chair that he was made just for him with the biggest headrest we've ever seen on a chair for a 3-year-old. And then we put him in a power chair made for a 250-pound man, stuck him on a foam sheet, and the only strap we have on him is his waist. But because he's weight bearing on his hips, he can hold his head just fine. I cannot teach seating and positioning in a very short period of time, but you can um, reach out to your OT and PT and talk about seating and positioning and how do we get that bum unstacked under that shoulder girdle so that there's some better head control. Same kid, same day, totally. I mean, he has a strap across his chest, guys, and still isn't holding his head up. And his tone, look at his legs are sticking straight out. And now when we've got him in a better position, he was able to drive his a power chair for the first time. And I'll show you that in action here.
Yeah. Where's he going? Okay. There you go. You can
So he's trying to drive with his head control.
see how he popped out a little bit?
This is what he does.
And so when he's not gonna be weight bearing on his butt, he's gonna have a little bit of head control. Yeah, okay, you're ready. Come on now, can we? Can we find Papa now? Oh, other side.
Hey, Camden, turn around.
So right away, she popped his bum under his shoulder and he is able to stand up,
Where's he going?
sit up straight.
There you
Oh, sorry, same video. So here he goes.
There's good. Come on, Cam.
Yay!
And go.
Come on, buddy.
What about ramps?
We're good.
It's still motorized. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Let's go.
Up. Oh, this is gonna be so sweet. You guys can hold hands and go for a walk together.
I mean, if you're not having a moment right there, then you're dead inside because he grabbed his grandpa's hand on his own, moving for independently from his mom for the first time. But honestly, all this is switch access, you guys. He's hitting a switch and he's experiencing the consequence of the switch, which in this case is highly motivating because it's independent movement. Movement's motivating anytime, any way you can set up a switch to move a child. And I have seen it at Foundation for Blind Children where they put them on like a vibrating table and they put like a tumble form on a vibrating table and they had a switch and it kind of shakes the kid. And anytime you can set up a switch that creates movement, you are going to get a lot of responses and switch access. And if you don't have any of this fancy material, don't worry about it. Hitting a switch that says go and you swing the kid, they still experience movement. So whether you manufacture something or you have access to higher tech things, just know that movement's motivating. So we're going to be doing experiences through movement and through toys. And sometimes you're thinking, I would love this to be switch activated, but I don't have the soldering skills to make that happen. And just know that battery interrupters are still tried and proven. And I mean, I love the world today. You can get battery interrupters on Amazon. So there's a battery interrupter for an AB and a different interrupter for a C. But you can make many toys with music, many toys with vibration, many toys with lights, switch activated by just interrupting where the battery connects to the toy and then connecting the switch to that point. So we've done that with this bubble machine here.
Show me.
Yeah.
Should we tell you?
Notice she's not chasing her head. She's not putting the switch lightly on her head. She's not moving the placement. She's gonna get consistent with how far away that switch is so that a motor plan can be built. We mostly think about motor plans when we come to the QWERTY keyboard with ASDF and all that kind of thing. But every plan, she ended up being an eye gaze user. Your eyes are still in a motor plan. She also uses switches. We put the switch about that 1 inch so that she can move her head a little bit without hitting a switch. And when she does hit a switch, we don't wonder if she meant to hit it because it was so close to her head. So that placement, once you figure out how far their range of motion is, you want to put it just far enough where when she does it, it's intentional. This is a boy I was taught two-step scanning with auditory preview. It's the first time he was experiencing switches and he was 1 year old. So if you're wondering if your child is old enough for switches, the answer is yes. And here is that experience.
Music.
He's moving to the left on the red switch and it's scanning through his choices.
Music.
You want different music. Okay.
Let's sing. Let's sing a song.
Let's sing a song. You're gonna sing. It's a favorite.
Itsy Bitsy Spiders? Good, or Patty Cake, actually. Let's do that one.
Hey, Patty Cake, baker's man, bake me a cake.
As fast as you can. Roll it. Give me the beat. And throw it in the air for baby and me.
His vision wasn't strong enough for eye gaze, so he's a switch user.
Another choice. You want the shark song now. Huh? Okay.
Let's play Five Sharks.
Okay. Let's play it.
So what he's doing here is one switch is his scan, and I usually make that red because he can't see the switches, but I like it for my paraeducators and others. It's basically a not that one, not that one, not that one. The green is that one, and that's select, but if you don't have different colors, don't worry about it. So he's doing music and Five Sharks and read a book or Kisses from Mom or something like that. And every time he's hitting it, he's getting a different choice. When he hears the one he wants, he has to hit that's the one switch. So my cueing is that the one or something different? And that way, no matter what series of vocabulary you're sequencing through, it's something different, something different, something different. That's the one. And I believe we have a little bit more of that.
We're on Old McDonald. Is that the one? Would you want something different? Can we hear what choices? What should you say? What should we sing?
The itsy bitsy spider.
Oh my goodness.
You are my sunshine.
What song do you like?
That's when Grandma sings.
If you're happy.
Do you know it? Which one should we sing? Yep. Your eyes help to find it. We see you. You want it, you gotta come all the way over.
This is Go Talk on the iPad. You can do 5 free slides to try it.
If you're happy and you know.
You're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Yep, yep. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
So he ended up doing two-step scanning auditory preview with about 20 on his board. He even got to where he would tell knock knock jokes and sequence through all of that. He was extremely good at switch access. He did pass away at age 8. And I tell you this not to bring somberness to this, only to say I am so glad we did not wait. So when I met him at 1, and he can do switches. We're getting him communication, and his funeral was one of the most uplifting. And one of the reasons why was people going up and saying, he told me this, we had secrets about that. They had jokes all over the tables that he had used to tell on his device. And there was such a sense that we knew who Adam was, not that he is not suffering anymore. If you go to a funeral where you of a young child who's had complex body and we haven't established great communication, it is very much a well, he's not suffering. When you go to a funeral where a child has had the opportunity to communicate their entire lives, it's very much, I knew who he was. He had great purpose and he lived it out for as long as he got to be here. And that's where I operate from, and I'm sure we all do. So I would say the biggest detriment in addressing switch access is thinking that you're going to wait and that they're magically going to get better at something that they're not actually practicing. We could say that we're going to wait to teach someone how to ride a bike, and they're actually never going to ride a bike until you get them a bike. So we do need to start switch access early. It is a form of cause and effect, and it can happen at that 8-9 month time frame. All right, when I do set them up, I would like to take a photo and put on there the scan and the select and where it is on her face, so to avoid her glasses, and where the jacks go into what Bluetooth interface or what part of the jack on the device. So, and that can be printed, posted, set on the back of her wheelchair so that we don't have anyone mess that up. Meaning we don't want scan to be on the opposite side sometimes. We don't want the select to be put into the wrong jack. So since there are so many people in a school setting that have the potential to set it up correctly, let's make sure they do. And so I strongly recommend taking a photo of the placement, labeling it, and making that accessible to people who facilitate switch access with children in the educational setting in particular. So we want to choose the right switch. We can adjust scan speed and pattern, and we can adjust how much visual support comes. And we're doing some verbal instructions saying hit the switch when you hear the one you want. And that is if they only have one switch site and the device is sequencing through ideas and they don't get to control the speed. So I just want to show you, actually, I'm going to skip this one. Mechanical switches. This is just what's part of your slideshow that you have access to today. And I think it's the honeybee that is replacing the candy corn now. And I have a video of the honeybee here.
So we're gonna pick some colors that we are going to make our magic melting pot.
Do you want blue? Do you want this light blue? Pink? Purple? Red? Orange? Teal? That's the one. Okay,
That's
cool.
the one.
So what we've done is we've connected a switch to a step-by-step that just says that's the one. And then you can make it, she doesn't have a communication device. She does, but not here today. She doesn't have a communication device. You don't have any of that iPad nonsense. We don't have anything that fancy. And one voice output switch that allows you to trial some of this, and all it says is that's the one, gets them listening to choices and hitting the switch when they hear the one they want, which is the kind of linguistic task that we're tacking on to a switch activity.
Okay, so Jenna's got a problem. All right, Dad, give us some choices.
So there's one step scanning, which means it's just kind of auto scanning. There's two step, and then there's partner assisted. If you think that they're going to get to a two-step scanning, but right now you just want to teach to hit the switch when you hear the one you want, you can partner assist or you be the one that steps them through their choices. When we do that, it's important that we don't influence their choices. And I say that because it'll be like, I'm going to give them choices to Bubbles, read a book, or go outside. So I'll say, hit the switch when you hear the one you want. Do you want Bubbles? Read a book? Go outside. And I do that to pace myself. And I won't be biased in going, I know they want to go outside, so I'm just trying to get to it. And also, when you're doing partner assisted scanning though, if they look like they're going for the switch, but they just missed it, you get to be forgiving. You get to be like, man, I think you were going for that. Should we try again? Can I put that closer for you? So partner assisted scanning is a way to refine the switch access of the scan and the placement of that scan switch and be a little bit more forgiving than an automatic scan. All the techniques are written in here. And I just want to point out one thing. Every time you're doing AAC, there is a motor issue, there are visual issues, and there are cognitive demands. And so every task you do need to consider, am I taxing one thing over another? So if the cognitive demands are high, which means it's switch access with language, then the motor needs to be refined. And if they're using vision, it needs to be supported with high contrast or whatever you know is support for that student. If the visual demands are high, the cognitive load needs to be lower and the motor load needs to be lower. If the motor demands are high, meaning I'm learning how to do a switch, then don't consider not having the cognitive demands be language at all. Start with play. I'm learning a motor plan. I'm trying to hit this switch. So there's very low cognitive demand to just hit a switch and make a toy go. That's a lower cognitive demand than hit the switch when you hear the one you want to get the toy you want. So you'll be stepping through looking at what's my motor demands, what are my visual demands, what are my cognitive demands so that I don't overtax a system.